Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today I want to talk about Lina. This is a hero that was recently buffed actually quite significantly. The main buff to note about Lina was that now the stack duration on her Fiery Soul, instead of lasting 15 seconds, lasts 18, which is really nice. It helps you conserve mana, farm more. It's just great, right? It's a really significant buff. I already thought this hero was pretty decent in the previous patch as well. It also received a pretty notable buff not too long ago, where Laguna Blade was, I believe it was 250 mana at level 1, now it's only 150. So I think this hero is actually going to rise in popularity. I do believe it's a great pub hero. It requires a bit of mechanical skill though, and prowess when it comes to farming. So I do think it's difficult in those concepts, but if you get it down, you're gonna do really well. So basically, I wanna learn this hero. I'm gonna teach you guys the item build, skill build, talent build, and then general gameplay tips so that you can play Lina as well. Also, I want to quickly let you guys know that if you want to become even more broken, what you should do is go sign up to the gameleap website. Currently, it is 50% off. So if you want to sign up, you're going to get exclusive content that I make over there where I'm going to talk about the pro games that I play in DPC Division 1. I'm going to do analysis for those games. I'm going to talk about patch content, go over all the new builds that you can try. Also, what I'm going to do for the website is I'm going to play games and experiment with these new builds, kind of analyze those games, do live game analysis over there as well. So if you're interested in that type of thing, use code RANK50. I'll repeat that, no spaces, RANK50 for 50% off. Use that when you're checking out. 50% off right now. Click the link down below and I'll see you guys there. All right, getting into level 1, so let's take a quick look at his starting items. He has Circlet, Branches, Fairy Fire, Mango, Tango. Very unorthodox, but I've seen him do this a couple times now. He seems to do this almost every game, actually, from what I've seen. And the main reason why he does this, seemingly, is because he just wants to win the early levels. He's completely doubling down on level 1, level 2, and really trying to make these timings strong, right? The most common item build for a mid-range hero right now is 3 Branches and a Fairy Fire. So this is actually quite a bit more gold. It's significantly more gold. I think it's like 150 more gold or more. And so, yeah, he's really trying to win the lane. Now, in terms of skill build, he takes his stun at level 1, and he actually uses it right away to zone the Sand King off the wave. Now, keep in mind, against a hero like, let's say, Death Prophet, a hero with good range, I would say it's generally not worth it to take your stun, as it's going to be very difficult to use it in a way that lets you pressure. However, against something like Sand King or Void Spirit or Ember Spirit or Kunkka or Storm Spirit, low-range heroes or melee heroes, the stun is really nice to pressure hero off creeps and secure creeps as well. The only dilemma or main dilemma with the stun is how your Fiery Soul currently works is it gives you attack speed bonus and movement speed bonus up to 7 stacks for every creep and hero you hit. So it's very important you hit the wave when you're stunning, and so yeah, it's really only good against very specific matchups like this one, as you'll see that stun gives him 5 stacks. However, against a ranged hero, you might not get 5 stacks. In fact, you might not get even 2 stacks if you try to stun them. Now, in terms of the early levels, if you're playing against a melee hero, you should be throwing 1 or 2 stuns per wave, basically to try to just get a deny. Essentially, what you'll generally see him do is look to stun every single time the Sand King's gonna even go for a last hit. For instance, right here, he's gonna go for this deny, and then when both of these melee creeps get low, he stuns where he thinks the Sand King is and goes for the deny. Unfortunately, he doesn't get it, ends up not playing out too well, but contests every single individual creep, doesn't worry about the wave shoving under his tower because he's against a melee hero, and goes from there, which is kind of a cool tip. If you're against a melee hero, you can play very aggressively for each and every deny, because it's much harder for melee heroes to pressure you under the tower. Or against something like a Puck, you would often get contested for every individual CS and would make the lane pretty hard. From there, because Sand King's a shitty laner, he's gonna go very aggressive. Note that his current positioning is really based around the fact that he is in such a favorable matchup and not something he would necessarily do every single game. Also keep in mind how your E works now. I don't think a lot of people know this. They still think Lina is old Lina. Is your Fiery Soul now only refreshes stacks if you hit a hero or creeps with the ability. You can't just cast it like just randomly. That used to be what you would do. You just cast it on the ground. You can't do that anymore. And so you have to hit the wave, and you'll see when it's about to run out here, he's gonna reset it. And the reason why he's doing this is he really wants to keep up the 7 stacks. That's 70 attack speed and a ton of movement speed, right? So it's basically going to allow him to zone the Sand King off the water rune, even take the small camp here. He's really going for this ultra aggro playstyle. And once again, this is not something you do in every matchup. In a lot of games, what you would instead be doing is looking to just pressure from behind your creep wave, stack the small camp into the water rune, and just looking to basically amplify your game, especially if you're against something like a Leshrac, who's much harder to pressure out. But now that he's level 5, this is when you can really start to get jungling. He's taken 2 small camps already, so don't get me wrong, he has been efficient, but that's largely once again because he's in such a favorable matchup. But now that he's level 5, and it has 3 points in the nuke, it's very easy to shove out the wave. So he's going to go for the water rune, actually look to take this large camp here, right? So even jungling pretty early on into the game, picks himself up the bounty rune at around minute 4, reads that the Sand King's going to push in the wave, so he actually gets back to the mid lane, and you can see the efficiency from Depressed Kid here is just absolutely fantastic. It's just clearly just in very, very impressive intuition that allows him to just keep his resources high, as he also got a clarity going there, got a full duration clarity this early into the game. That's really, really nice. And now he's even looking to pressure the Sand King, drops him to 1 HP. I will say that one thing I would like to mention about Lina that I think even pros are not experimenting with enough is actually taking 2 points in the E instead of the ulti. Now, this is a really hot take, and I would say most games do not do this. Why? Because the ulti is actually in the best place it's ever been. Laguna Blade being a 150 mana ability on a 70-second cooldown means you can use it casually. For instance, him using it on the Sand King there is fantastic. The guy basically has to go back to base, right? That's incredibly good, right? And so he's already in a winning position just from using a Laguna Blade, even though it was in a kill attempt. Just the fact that the Sand King is super low now is definitely a win. So generally don't skip it. The main thing to understand though about Fury's Soul is it hard spikes at level 2 as it doubles in attack speed bonus. It doesn't double in movement speed bonus, but it does double in attack speed bonus, bringing you up from 70 potential attack speed to 140, which is obviously a big deal. Now in terms of his next items, he goes for a Null Talisman, has used 2 clarities already at minute 6, so keep in mind this is a very hungry mana hero. You have to be going for every single rune you possibly can. You should be taking the rune every single 3 minutes. Clearly he didn't literally run for the first bounty rune at minute 3. He got it at minute like 420 as we looked. Let's go. But either way, at this point, you can even look to give your supports a good game. So this is another reason why I think this hero will have viability at a high level is because you can jungle, right? And you're gonna see it's really nice on Dire to keep in mind. Like heroes like Coddle and Lina, these flash drummers for mid, love playing on Dire. Because you kind of like shoot these camps together, right? It's really convenient. I guess Radiant isn't too bad for something like Coddle, but for Lina, those 2 camps are really nice. Either way, the point being is that he can give Marcy a good game, right? He can give Marcy a little bit of soul XP, does clean it up, right? It does take some of the XP and all the CS, but either way, he's gonna go back to the jungle. And Lina is so good at jungling that literally you could get griefed mid, go jungle from like minute 5, and you're gonna do fine. Your net worth will be really high. So if you're gonna play this hero, once again, max out the Fury Soul second, you max out Q, then Fury Soul, or Fiery Soul, whatever you... People get so mad when I call it Fury Soul. I don't care, all right? You can leave a comment, all right? If it makes you mad, it is what it is. Nonetheless, once again, back into the jungle. You're not really gonna rotate as Lina. You can with bots, and the reason why is you can run to the gank, and then TP to farm. Or, of course, if you have something like a Bane or a Shaman on your team, or even something like Beastmaster or a long duration disable, you could boss into the team fight, which is quite practical and definitely very useful. However, instead what he does here is he gets a DD, and with 210 bonus attack speed in a DD, he basically takes the mid tower from full. So you can see that the general gist of Lina is stay mid, get 109 last hits at minute 9. This is freaking unbelievable. I mean, he's even stealing an ancient stack. Just unreal efficiency coming out from Depressed Kid here. And yeah, if you can come even close to this, take a look at his net worth. Whew! That is brutal. He is so farmed. But if you can come even close to that, it's pretty good. So the next item he goes for here is BKB. I think it's pretty obvious why, you know. It's one of those games where if you don't have BKB and you're playing Lina, you're gonna feed, because you're gonna get reload on, you're gonna get blinked on by a Sand King, blinked on by a Mars. It's not a game where he can afford to have no BKB, as he actually turns around this gank. Look at the Lina damage. That's a big thing about this hero that's honestly really cool. I even think Soul Ring is good on this hero. It's a bit of a hot take, but I think players should consider it. You still go the bottle, you buy a Soul Ring as well, and you're incredibly tanky. It gives you some extra armor which your hero needs, gives you some strength, and then it gives you 6 mana regen if you use it off cooldown, because technically that's what Soul Ring is. It's if I'm not mistaken, it's 6 mana regen if you use it off cooldown, which is a clarity. So yeah, it's pretty freaking nice, because you could actually use that many clarities, and the tankiness is nice. But as you'll see in this clip here, he's just so far ahead where At level 10, you get your 25 damage talent. He has a Mithril Hammer. He's hitting for 160 with like nearly max attack speed. Just rips through the IO. Luna, unfortunately, lives just because of a couple of misses. And now he's going to go back to base, right? So obviously, there's points in time where you are going to have to look to go back to base as Lina. This is some psychotic gameplay from him. I can't believe he's not going back to base. The press kit is clearly all about the efficiency. He gets a regen rune. Oh my god. I was sure he was going back to base. What? Can this guy see the future? So we are going to see the press kit get a little bit active here. Oh, what a nice blink by Sand King. But the main thing I would like to say is I think his current gameplay, while it is effective if you get ahead, is like your hero is strong, right? Like he's pretty strong right now. It's a little unnecessary. As we'll see here, he does end up having to disengage his CM and Marcy die. So I will say that I think generally that play on Lina is kind of a mistake. Basically what I'm trying to say is like, there's like 3 things you can do in the early game. Number 1 is farm, and I would say that's the easiest thing to do and it's effective because you're playing Lina and you farm like faster than any other mid hero besides like Caudle. But other than that, the other thing you can do is like try to play on your BKB timing, try to play on your Shadowblade timing, or you can try to like clean up fights. Like you can really clean up fights. I guess maybe the other option is like get a pick off Aurora, which we kind of talked about, but even that is a little bit risky. So I do like to see him slow down the pace of the game here and get a 14-minute bots BKB, which is something else, right? Like now you definitely want to get active when you get your 14-minute BKB. All right, so the next tip I'm going to show you guys, this is probably the most important one, so make sure you're paying very close attention here. Basically, once you hit around level 15, you're going to get your health talent. You're incredibly strong right now, and so you want to look to get active. And basically, when you have this Shadowblade BKB timing, you're easily the strongest here on the map. So what you want to do is show your position, and then after you show your position, you want to show it again on the creep wave, and then proceed to get blink initiated on and bursted from full, or pretty close to that. After you die, it's very important that you make it known to your team that you're done with the game. You're going to want to queue up the Shadowblade, or the Shadow Amulet, my mistake, and type GG in all chat. This is an extremely effective method to make your team think you're going to give up, when in reality, you're going to keep trying. In all reality, though, generally what you're looking to do as Lina is, take the team fight. And after you take the team fight, basically you stay on the outside, you try to stun the first person you see. You should never really be trying to flank the backline as Lina, because as you'll see in this fight here, like, your hero is very squishy. So it should be pretty clear that if you try to do too much, right, if you try to go for the backline and assassinate a support, you're just going to get a BKB forced early, right? And the earlier you have to BKB, the less damage you're likely going to do in the team fight. So as we'll see here, he's going to go on the Sand King, gets hexed, kites out. Unfortunately, doesn't get his BKB off here. Decides to pop it afterwards, probably panicking about a potential shaman initiation, and now has to kite out. Obviously, if your BKB kind of gets wasted like it did there, then you want to generally dodge. Your hero's pretty bad without BKB, which is kind of the downside of Lina. This hero definitely has an issue where if its BKB gets forced or baited, it's, well, frankly, a big play for the enemy team. And so instead, he goes out and splits the map. And this is exactly what you want to do. Fight goes bad, BKB gets wasted. You cannot dwell in it. If you do that, you are going to get run over. Bad players, as Lina, will pop their BKB, it will get wasted, and they will proceed to sit behind their mid-tier 2 tower until they lose the game. Don't do that. Get out on the map, get to your next timing. For instance, he's going to be picking up a Linken's here. That's clearly to deal with the Sand King stun and the potential shaman initiation, and it definitely seems reasonable. Now, in terms of items, there's honestly a lot of things you can do as Lina, so it's a bit tough. It's very much game dependent, as we'll see him rip through the shaman here and look to chase down the Luna. Now, this game, it would have been a very great game for him to go as Scotty because he outranges Luna and can, well, Scotty a ranged carry. However, he knows this Medusa is going to buy it, so there's no true need to go 2 Scotties. It's generally a waste. So instead, he goes for a Linken's here, clearly seeing that, okay, I do have this BKB, but they have so many instant disables that I might not necessarily get it off. They have a lot of burst damage and instant disables, so it's a great game to go Linken's. Just with Shadowblade and your level 20 and 10 talent, you hit plenty hard. If you don't know what the 20 talent is, it gives you 15 extra attack speed per stack and 1% extra movement speed, which is freaking huge. It's really massive as a talent. And then level 10, you have your 25 damage. At level 15, you're 350 health. So your hero, it can become very tanky. As you see here, he has almost 3k HP at 26 minutes with 2 defensive items, and he's still going to be hitting for 270. Right? As we'll see, he's even going to look for a pickup on Mars here. Bit of a hard hero to bring down. They'll eventually get him in a moment. So as you can see, going for pickoffs, just beautifully done. But in general, there's a couple items you can go. So you can go for Silver Edge, you can go for Scotty. Silver Edge would be specifically if you need a break, which is good this game. He ended up buying it here. It's going to help him solo kill the Mars. And Crystallis, which is obviously what Silver Edge builds from, is an incredible item on Lina as you're right-clicking. It's quite logical. It's straightforward. The other item you can buy is Satanic or MKB. Satanic is if you really have to be this frontline man-up hero and they lack stuns. If they lack stuns and you know for a fact you're going to be able to get off your Satanic reliably when you're low HP, it can be a great tool to turn around fights and be the frontliner that your team sometimes will need. And finally, MKB or Daedalus. Sometimes people will literally go BKB Daedalus or BKB Shadowblade Daedalus. I've seen multiple BKB Daedalus or Daedalai. I don't know. I don't know what you're supposed to say. But that is like the highest DPS you can generally go is like BKB Daedalus. The problem is you lack the Shadowblade mobility. And honestly, I'm a huge fan of going BKB Shadowblade every single game. I think it just feels good. The DPS is very high on Shadowblade. It lets you pick off, play side lanes better with bots. I don't know. Shadowblade with bots is just such a good combo. The next thing we'll see is you want to have a lot of patience in team fights. So as we'll see in this team fight here, as he's actually going for a Hex, that's quite interesting. A lot of pick-off potential there. But as we'll see in this team fight here, he doesn't overextend, right? Sure, the Mars BKBs, and Mars is a horrible target, so he doesn't go on him because you can't break him with the Silver Edge yet. But he doesn't chase too far. He doesn't go for the Io or the Luna on the backline. Instead, he just stays close to his team, hits a really nice stun, which actually keeps the CM alive, allowing her ulti to continue, and picks up a nice kill on the Mars. And yeah, once again, this is going to be the moral of the story for Lina teamfights. Stay close to your team. Do not overextend. Don't get ahead of yourself. Don't chase people when they're low HP. It's either you burst and get the kill or you back off. 9 times out of 10, that's going to be the case. On top of that, one play you can make that's really high skill is what we're going to see from Depressed Kid here, which is when teamfights break down, the natural movement from the enemy team is going to be to split the map. It's quite simple, quite straightforward. It's just what happens, and you want to try to read it ahead of time. The faster you are to realize that they're going to split the map, if you can realize that they're going to split the map before they even realize they're going to split the map, that is how you start to get these big plays on Lina. As we'll see here, he's going to look to hunt the Sand King following the end of a team fight. And yeah, takes him out. Look at that damage. And that's just how it is. When you get further enough ahead on Lina, your hero is just an absolute menace in the side lanes, as we see him actually BKB to take the Shaman kill, disengage, and oh my, I thought he was going to TP. Oh, he didn't have TP. He's sticking around. He wants the IO. Oh, he got greedy. He should have stunned first. Why is he chasing? What is wrong with this guy? This kid is crazy. And depressed, apparently. Alright, but yeah, he picks up his Hex now. I think the main reason why is it just lets you reliably set up for your stun and pump out damage. I actually really like this. I haven't tried Hex on Lina. I haven't even really seen too much of this, but it actually makes a lot of sense because you're going to be able to initiate. I mean, you can protect yourself first off with it, and then it lets you just solo kill people really easily. Your hero also does actually have some mana problems. Even with Linken's, you could run out of mana when split pushing, but I like what he does there. He sees that, oh, my team is griefing. They take a bad fight, just backs off. I love when people do that, when they realize, oh my god, okay, my team is just feeding. Let me not double down on the feed and just get out. It's a really tough call to make, but when it works and when it's the correct call, it's really a huge play. All right, we're actually going to see the Hex play out here, so he doesn't have to go for a blind stun out of invis. Instead, it's a very simple execution. Stun into BKB on the TP and TP out. Really nice pickoff. It's a little bit tough to use BKB for these like pickoffs now because it's just such a long cooldown. Like Sand King's literally respawning before it's back up, which is actually a bit threatening. So you got to be a little bit careful about having to like use BKB for a support kill. In that case, it was a mid kill, which is nice. So there's that. And lastly, to talk about your later DPS items, some of you guys might struggle to know when to go like Daedalus or when to go something like MKB. And generally the two main things I would look at, or like even Satanic, is what is the enemy, right? Is the enemy a high armor team comp? Is the person I really need to kill a high armor hero? If the answer is yes, they're a Luna, as we see here, a Terrorblade, you know, and anything of the sort, MKB is the way to go. It's so good on Lina because it's a proc-based item, so it's good with attack speed. Obviously, with Lina, you have attack speed, and you're just going to rip people to shreds. But all right, that's going to spell about the end of this game. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you learned quite a bit about mid Lina. I even learned quite a bit in this game. I'm excited to give it a shot and try to match the efficiency of Lina. Don't feel bad if you don't have 120 CS in mid at 10. He was leaning against the Sand King and is one of the best players in the world, but at the end of the day, you should strive for that. You should do the best you can because, you know, why else are we here? All right, I'll see you guys in the next one, and I'm out. Peace!
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.